What is up, my ninja? Shinobi here, bringing you guys another Let's Talk Diablo. Now, I know I haven't done this series in quite a while now. It's a series that I started a long time ago. And yes, that is a kitty behind me. Just wants to be in the video. But I started this series about a long time ago, and it's something, the series is pretty much just us talking Diablo. I give my opinions about a topic, you give yours, things of that sort, and it's all that kind of stuff. So this video, I think, is Diablo, let's talk Diablo 14 or 15 or something like that. But the most common question that I get in my live streams, even though I've been live streaming World of Warcraft like crazy, I've been playing the game like 13 hours a day since it came out for Legion, been having so much fun with it, and that's why you're seeing Legion in the background. It's because there's not really much going on with Diablo right now, but we're going to be talking about Diablo a lot in this video. This video might be a little bit of a longer one, so sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and you can play the thing in the background, just listen to my voice or whatever, or you can watch some of my mediocre Windwalker Monk gameplay. Anyway, with that said, guys, what is the question at hand that people ask me over and over and over again in my live streams? And I've said it many times what my predictions are for BlizzCon 2016 as far as Diablo 3 goes. I feel like I repeat myself so much that I might as well just make a video. So if someone asks me again, which I'm sure they're going to next time I stream, I can link this video. There you go. It's all right there. And that way I can comprise all of my thoughts and opinions into one area. The question at hand is, what are my predictions for BlizzCon 2016 for Diablo, Diablo 3, such and so forth? There's a lot of information that goes into it. There's a lot of things that fly around in my personal head about it. I do have some predictions that are going to be a little bit different than some other people have said, actually. And even though they may be outlandish and crazy, to some people might think, including myself, but we are going to go over all the different possibilities of options. So before we get into all of that, we have to start with the past. We have to start with before Diablo 3 came out. Before we can know what's going to happen in the future, we have to know what happened in the past and what Blizzard's kind of goals and ambitions they have towards Diablo and the Diablo project, what they wanted to do this whole time, and if they've been staying with that. So 2011 BlizzCon was right before Diablo 3 came out. And if there were going to be a new game, a new Diablo game, or D4 or something of that sort, then it would be coming out next year, right? Because usually that's how Blizzard does things. They, like, for instance, Overwatch, for example, or Hearthstone, when those things were announced, they were announced, and then they came out shortly after, and that's how it works. And the Blizzard usually does that kind of stuff for their games. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because 2011 was right before Diablo 3 came out. So during that time, they had quite a bit of time on their panels to talk about all things Diablo 3 related, a lot of the features we were going to get, and some of which that we weren't, PvP, things like that. So there were a lot of talk back then, and one question that was asked during, I think, the Q&A was, what is your goals for the future for Diablo? Are we going to have an expansion for Diablo 3? Keep in mind, this is before Diablo 3 came out. This is before Reaper of Souls. And their answer was pretty much, well, we want to make Diablo 3 kind of like World of Warcraft in the sense where every 2 years we come out with an expansion and we go up 10 levels at a time. And that was kind of what they wanted to do. And funny enough, 2 years after Diablo 3 came out, Reaper of Souls came out, where we went up 10 more levels. So it seemed like everything was on track and everything was going great. So last year, BlizzCon 2015, is when everybody thought there would be an expansion reveal. And guess what? There was nothing. There was just a patch. So you have to think, well, your schedule was that you wanted to keep putting these up every 2 years, and that's how you wanted to do. They do that kind of stuff with World of Warcraft, they do that kind of stuff with all their types of games, constantly on this schedule. You have to keep in mind that they are a company, and they have schedules to keep, and they have to get deadlines to hit, and they have to hit certain things, even though they don't tell us those deadlines all the time. They do have their own personal vendettas when it comes to the game and the schedule that they have to keep. So Nothing happened though last year, and myself and many people were very upset over this, and all we got was a patch. Granted, it was a big patch, but there wasn't much to it. So why was that? Well, I have some theories about that I've never discussed before in a video, so let's get into that. So why was there no reveal of an expansion or a D4 or a D2 remake or something like that last year? I think it's because Blizzard released Overwatch. Overwatch was their big new game, something they've never done before, something they've been working on for I think 7 or 8 years or something. Something that like they took a big risk on to do because they could have flopped big time. They could have released that and nobody bought it and said that looks stupid. What? There's a British girl that runs around named Tracer and she oh good day loves things like that. Cavalry's here. I don't know. I'm shitty at accents and stuff, but we could have just laughed at that game and thought that it was garbage, but the thing is it was actually pretty good, and I played quite a bit of it myself. It's one of the most played games on my live stream channel currently, except for World of Warcraft coming out now, and I've been putting all my time into that, aside from D3 as well. So they had a lot of their eggs in one basket when it came to Overwatch and trying to having this big risk involved when it came to that game. So with that said, they'd want to put a lot of resources, a lot of marketing, and a lot of strategic planning and scheduling behind a game release like that. And on top of that, we also had World of Warcraft Legion that was coming out, and these are the two big things they were talking about last BlizzCon. And World of Warcraft was just coming off of Warlords of Draenor, which had the biggest drop in subscriber numbers, I think, ever for World of Warcraft. And you have to keep in mind, World of Warcraft is Blizzard's moneymaker. It makes billions of dollars. It's ridiculous how much money World of Warcraft makes. It's probably one of the biggest grossing video games of all time. So, obviously, when you lose half of your subscribers, there goes half of your money, essentially. Yeah, that's a big deal. So I think that they really wanted to put a lot of their focus on Overwatch and World of Warcraft Legion. And you may say, well, Shinobi, I mean, it's not like the D3 guys work on World of Warcraft. Well, some of them actually do now, like John Yang and a couple other people. But with that said, they wanted to put a lot of emphasis towards World of Warcraft Legion and also Overwatch. With that said, you have to think about it from a consumer standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, and because you gotta remember, Blizzard's a business, and they have to sell these games to you, they have to sell these subscriptions to you, and things of that sort. So when you think about it, if you had 3 choices, you had Overwatch, World of Warcraft Legion, and Diablo 3 all coming out in the same few months, or same 6-month period, you're like, well, I'll try Overwatch because that's new and interesting, so I definitely want to buy that. And World of Warcraft's always been my go-to thing. I've been doing that since back in vanilla, so I can't just not buy that. Plus, this expansion looks really good, so I think I'm going to buy that. And they're like, well, Diablo 3 as well, but I only have enough money for 2 games, so why would I buy a Diablo 3 expansion or something like that? So I feel like Blizzard, they had to put a lot of time into kind of building up the future of Diablo 3. They had to kind of like recuperate all of the stuff that Diablo had messed up on in the past and wanted to correct things and make things better so that they could have something new and fresh in the future. And we'll talk more about that because that's more of the prediction things. But as far as Blizzard not really doing much last BlizzCon, and the reason why we're kind of not on schedule anymore for Diablo 3, it could be a number of reasons, but I do think that's mainly because of World of Warcraft and Overwatch back then. With that said, let's move on to what are the viable options. What are the options that I think could possibly happen for Diablo 3 at BlizzCon, and what is going to be my main prediction. Now, I do want to state, once again, these are all my opinions, and I'm not saying that your thoughts are wrong, and I'm not saying that my thoughts are right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there are many options, and all of these are possibilities, for sure. I could see all of these happening, but whether they're going to or not, well, I guess we'll find out come the first week of November. So, what are the options that we have? We have a D4, which is something that's been highly speculated lately. which we'll go into more. We have Diablo 3 expansion, which is the most obvious thing because we've been keeping with expansions, and if they're keeping what they said, even though they are a little off schedule now, so an expansion is kind of the most obvious thing, but who knows? We have a D2/D1 remake that Blizzard could do. That's very possible as well, but we'll talk more about that. And then we also have a new project, just a completely new way of Diablo. That could be a possibility as well. And then you have your fifth option, which is Blizzard could do nothing. Honestly, they could do nothing. And the reason why is because this year is 20 years of Diablo. They had their anniversary for 20 years, and the game has not been doing well. Like, for a AAA game, it's been doing pretty bad. But for, going up against a lot of indie games out there, sure, it does great. But it has the backing of a multi-billion-dollar company, so of course it's going to do better than those kind of games most of the time. But with that said, I see the numbers. I see how many people are playing in the communities. I'm in tons of communities in Diablo 3. I just do research on numbers like crazy for YouTube, for World of Warcraft, for Google searches, for all kinds of stuff, for all this kind of stuff. I do all kinds of research on this, and the numbers are very up and down when it comes to Diablo 3. 1 month you can get millions of people playing the game, and the next month you get like thousands of people playing the game, like maybe 50,000, 100,000, something like that, which is still a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but I could definitely see Blizzard going in the direction of saying, you know what, we had 20 years, it's been great, we're going to retire the name and live on the legacy, and we want to focus a lot of our time on these other projects like Overwatch and Hearthstone and World of Warcraft and all this kind of stuff. We want to focus on that, and I could see them doing that. I mean, maybe Blizzard's been putting too much money into Diablo 3 lately, and it's just not really going in the direction that they thought it was going to go, and maybe they cut their ties with it and say, you know what, it's been great, we've had 20 awesome years, but maybe we'll move on, retire the name, and that's it. I could see them doing that. It's very unlikely, but it is possible. And I would understand. I would be like, you know what? I understand that. Because it hasn't been going that great for the game. And yeah, you could recuperate that, but it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of finances. It's going to take a lot of time. Are you willing to do that, Blizzard? And if they're not willing to do that, then I could see them definitely saying, you know what? Let's move on to something different. Let's just move on to a whole new IP and not something Diablo related. We'll see. Maybe the Diablo team will be working on something else, or maybe they'll just be putting in maintenance mode and they'll just be going into patches for forever, just like Diablo 2, essentially. Diablo 2 has been in maintenance mode for a long time now, so that could be the case. They could be retiring it like they did with Diablo 2. Could be the case. Like I said, don't want to spend too much more time on that topic, but I do think it's possible. Moving on to D4. This is the one that people have been speculating the most for a couple of reasons. November the 4th. I got a dice that has 4 sides on it. It's a D4. I mean, D4 confirmed, and it's like the misprint on it is like, oh my god. Like, okay. Yes, Blizzard can be like that at times, and they can plant little things that like kind of give you hints and things of that sort. They've done it with other games before in the past. And that's possible. That could be a sign towards it. As far as the Diablo 4 goes, they've been building Diablo 3 up for the last 5 years, and it's not like it is back in the day, like when they come out with a Diablo 1 and a Diablo 2 and have these expansions in between them. It's not like it is like back then. When Blizzard released Diablo 3, this is something they worked on for a long time. They wanted it to be like that one game, just like with World of Warcraft. Just like you're not going to see a World of Warcraft 2, I don't really think you're going to particularly see a D4, but there is some merit to that, and I will kind of go over a little bit of that in this video. So, moving on to I'll come back to that later on. I'll circle back to that. So D2, D1 remake, is that something they're going to do? Well, this is something that's kind of interesting because I do think it's highly possible, but I don't think that would be the only reveal that they would have. because an HD remake of D1, D2 or something, or just D2 or just D1, an HD remake of that is not going to take them the last 2 years to do. Whatever they've been working on, if they've been working on something, has been happening over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, because we didn't get any announcements last year, and patches have slowed down a lot, and the development teams have been changing and things of that sort. So, if there is, how long does it take to remake something you already have? It's like having the recipe for a cake. If you're gonna bake a cake, right? You're gonna bake a pretty cake. You got all the recipes right there. You just got to make it shinier. That's what an HD remake is. Why does that take 2 years? Why is that your big reveal? I don't know. I don't see that happening. I just don't. I see that being maybe something in addition to something else that we get, for sure, definitely. But as far as it being the only thing, I don't know. You also have to keep this in mind as well. Blizzard doesn't like to backpedal, okay? Even though that is an option in World of Warcraft, you can push the S key and you can backpedal. Blizzard themselves doesn't really like to backpedal. They usually don't try to, when they do rehash things, don't get me wrong. Like, in World of Warcraft, they've done it many times. I mean, we have Illidan again. We've seen, we got to go back to, we have Karazhan coming up. We've done Molten Core again. Yeah, they have rehashed things in the past, and they have kind of backpedaled on certain things, but that wasn't their main thing. That was like an extra special thing that they added on top of something else. It's not like the addition of Molten Core again back in WoD was the main thing that, that was the final raid, Molten Core again. No, that's not how it was. So I do think that that's something special they would do as a side project, to have something like a D2 come. And also keep in mind, the reason there's no Necromancer in Diablo 3 or Druid is because Blizzard doesn't want to reuse characters and reuse things they did before. Diablo 3 is supposed to be a new spin on the genre, and it's not supposed to be stealing completely from the original content at hand, because that's not very creative or original. That's just that I'll just go play D2, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So for them doing that, I don't know about that. So keep that in mind. But like I said, as far as D2 goes, I feel like it would be more of a side project, something on the side that could be a cool thing. If they give it to us for $10 or $20, I'll pick it up, I'll play it, I'll stream it. Yay, it'll be fun. Yeah, it'd be fun for a little while, but I don't know how much I'd play it. I mean, I might play it quite a bit, but I don't know. Is that going to be what carries the rest of Diablo and the Legacy? I don't think so. Whatever new thing that comes out has to be something that continues the legacy of Diablo, and I don't think going backwards does that. So, like I said, take it for what it is. Now let's move on to what my prediction actually is. And I know we're 19 minutes, maybe some editing involved in this video, because I, have to say things again and things of that sort, which I'll probably edit this out as well. So anyways, yeah, like 19 minutes or so in this video, and you're probably like, finally we're getting into your prediction for Diablo. But all of that stuff I said before is important information, and it all leads up to this right here. What is the prediction? What are they going to release? What's the big thing going on? So, like I said, the most possible thing that they'll do, the most likely thing that they'll do, will be an expansion. But I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm gonna throw a curveball, and I'm gonna just come out of nowhere, okay? And I don't think anybody has said this before, and this is gonna be my thought, okay? Blizzard is going to release Diablo. That's it, Diablo. And I'm not talking D1, I'm not talking D2, I'm not talking D3, I'm talking D1, D2, and D3. I'm talking the whole package deal. Everything that we've had up until this point is a remake and a retelling of the entire story, the entire legacy of Diablo 3. And with that said, that takes all the elements that we have nowadays for Diablo 3, like Reaper of Souls, the Greater Rifts, all kinds of stuff, and combines them with the old stuff that we had, like, the old school Cow level, and Baal, and Mephisto, and Diablo, and all this kind of stuff. We have all these things coming together into one big game. And then that could be like a world of Diablo, essentially. But I think it would just be called Diablo. and then that could have expansions on top of that, and that's how you continue the legacy of the game. But you're going to give us new stuff, obviously. It's not going to be just everything we've already had already. They're going to put new things in it. They're going to remaster it. They're going to redo it. They're going to, for instance, like World of Warcraft likes to do with the expansions, pretty much every expansion is kind of like cut out these spells that you don't need and make them into passives and do things like that. They're going to like take out a lot of the bad stuff that people don't like about D1, D2, and D3, and then they're going to just keep the good stuff, keep the meat on the bone from the bones, and make an awesome game. That's what I think is going to happen. And yeah, think about it. I mean, look at Blizzard's Twitter for Diablo. It's just called Diablo. Look at the panels for Diablo at BlizzCon. It's just called Diablo. Maybe they're giving it to us right in front of our face. Maybe that's the obvious solution. It's right there. It's staring at us, and it was under our nose the whole time. Maybe I'll be wearing a tinfoil hat, and I don't know. Who knows? But that's my thoughts. That's what I think. And you have to keep this in mind as well. Whatever it is Blizzard does, if they want to be serious with Diablo 3, they need to bring their A game. They need the next thing that they come out with to kick ass. And the reason why is because we have an action RPG genre that is now in a new form. We have Path of Exile, which is amazing. We have Devilion, which introduces a lot of MMO elements. And then we also have Lost Ark, which is going to be the force to be reckoned with in the future, and you better believe your ass I'm playing that game. Even if Diablo is kick-ass, I'm still trying Lost Ark. But Lost Ark is your big competitor, and it's coming, Blizzard. So whatever it is you got going, it better be good. Because this is not going to be some indie developer game. This is not going to be some small little game like Path of Exile that happens to be really good, but it doesn't have the backing of a multi-billion-dollar company like Blizzard does. This game itself that's coming, Lost Ark, is an MMO action RPG that looks super awesome, and we could be wrong, it could be garbage, but I mean, I haven't seen anything bad about it at all so far, and you know, no red flags yet, so usually just give it the benefit of the doubt and try to be positive about it. So Lost Ark's coming, and if you come out with a mediocre Diablo title, you're dead. 100%, you're dead, and it's no one's gonna play Diablo. No one's gonna even think Diablo, and this is how you want 20 years of your legacy to end, by getting destroyed by Lost Ark or Path of Exile or the combination of the two? No. Diablo 2 was one of the best action RPGs of all time. Holds up to this date. Whatever it is you got coming, let's not forget that. 20 years. You guys are the kings of action RPGs. Have been for a long time. As far as marketing goes, as far as money making goes, as far as many different variables go. Whatever's coming, you got to be ready for it. And I think that the way to do that is to come out with a boom, a big reveal, not HD remake of Diablo 2, not we're gonna retire because you know we had 20 years, not any of that stuff, not an expansion and that's it. Even though that, you know, depends on what you put into an expansion. Expansions could be huge, just like Legion, which has been amazing. But whatever it is you got coming, it's got to be big. And I think a Diablo that takes Diablo 1, 2, and 3, and all the expansions in between, puts it into one game, and makes it amazing, and then we expand upon that with expansions in the future. That's the future of Diablo. It makes us remember all the great stuff of Diablo over the years, and it keeps all the good stuff, gets rid of some of the bad filler stuff, and just gives us one great game. So I'm rooting for you, Diablo. I want you to do well. I'm going to be watching the BlizzCon panel, and I don't know what's going to happen with it. It could be, who knows, because the thing that's kind of weird about the panel for BlizzCon is we have a main stage panel for Diablo. So that could be similar to what they did with Overwatch, and they're going to go in detail about their new Diablo game, or they're going to, and then they're going to do a Q&A afterwards. Seems like a short amount of time for something that big. So if that is the case, are we going to be pushed back till next year? You're just going to like reveal something and say you're working on it, and then we're not going to get it till next year? I don't know. But what I do know is I really want my socks to be blown off. Last year was a disappointment, and the game has been going on a downhill for a while now. And the fans, they love this game. They love the lore of Diablo. They love the gameplay. They love the fluidness of it. They love some of the core mechanics that have been so great, like the greater rifting system, the seasons, even though there is a lot of issues with that stuff and a lot of issues with things like Paragon. However, these things can all be fixed, and you can have just one great game. So that's why I'm coming out today to say, make Diablo great again. And the way that you do that is with a Diablo standalone game that capsulizes the past, the present, and launches us into the future. That's all for me, guys. What are your thoughts? Put them down in the comment section below. I look forward to reading them, and that's what it's all about here, opinions and discussion. So get on it. Share this with your friends. What are their opinions? Put it in the comments as well. I love to read that stuff. And until next time, my name is Shinobi, and thanks for watching.